Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Yo Vishwapad Paramamsa Priyavrata Ashtottara Satar Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki Harinam Sankirtan Mahayagna ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavanti ki Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru Gauranga and Srila Prabhupada. I had got on my verse number 16. I don't know, that's the message I got. Anyway, speak verse number 6. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 1, Text number 6. It's a long text. We will read phrase by phrase. Let's see how it goes. Yarhi Vavaha Rajan Sarajaputra Priyavrata Parama Bhagavato Naradasya Charanopa Veshayanja Savagata Paramartha Satattvao Brahma Shatrena Dikshamano Vanitala Paripalayana Naya Nata Pravaraguna Ganeikanta Bhajanataya Swapitropamantrito Bhagavati Vasudeva Eva Vyavadhana Samadhi Yogena Samaveshita Sakala Karaka Kriya Kalapo Nevabhyanandadad Yadyapi Tad Apratyama Amna Tavyayam Tad Adhikarana Atmanonyasmad Asotopi Parabhavam Anvikshamanaha. Everybody wants to try? Try. Doesn't matter, you can split it any way you like. Alright, I'll chant once more. At least twice we should chant. Yeah. Yarhi Vavaha Rajan Sarajaputra Priyavrata Parama Bhagavato Naradasya Charanopaseva Yanja Savagata Paramartha Sattvato Brahmashatrena Dikshamano Vanitala Paripalayan Amnata Pravaraguna Gunaikanta Bhajanataya Swapitropamantrito Bhagavati Vasudeva Eva Vyavadhyana Samadhi Yogena Samaveshita Sakala Karaka Kriya Kalapo नैवाभ्यनन्दाद्यद्यपि तत् अप्रत्याम्नाथवतव्यं तत् अधिकारन आत्मनो न्यस्यात् असतोपि पराभवम् अन्वीक्षमानः. Word for word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Yarhi, because, Vavaha, indeed, Rajan, O king, Saha, he, Rajaputraha, the prince, Priyavrataha, Priyavrata, Parama, supreme, Bhagavataha, devotee, Naradasya, of Narada, Charana, the lotus feet, Upasevaya, by serving, Anjasa, quickly, Avagata, became aware of, Parama Artha, transcendental subject matter, Satatvaha, Satatvaha, with all knowable facts, Brahma Satrena, by continuous discussion of the Supreme, Dikshamanaha, desiring to fully dedicate himself, Avanitala, the surface of the globe, Paripalanaya, to rule over, Amnatha, directed in the revealed scriptures, Pravara, highest, Guna, of qualities, Gana, the sum total, Ekantha, without deviation, Bhajanataya, because of possessing, Swapitra, by his father, Upamantritaha, being asked, Bhagavati, in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeve, the all-pervading Lord, Eva, certainly, Avyavadhana, without cessation, Samadhi Yogena, by practicing yoga in complete absorption, Samaveshita, completely dedicated, Sakala, all, Karaka, senses, Kriya Kalapaha, whose total activities, Na, not, Eva, thus, Abhyanandat, welcomed, Yadyapi, although, Tat Adhikarena, Adhikarane, in occupying that post, Atmanaha, of himself, Anyasmat, by other engagements, Asataha, material, Api, certainly, Parabhavam, deterioration, Anvikshamanaha, foreseeing. Sukadeva Goswami continued, my dear Prince Priyavrata, my dear King, Prince Priyavrata was a great devotee because he sought the lotus feet of Narada, his spiritual master, and thus achieved the highest perfection in transcendental knowledge. With advanced knowledge, he always engaged in discussing spiritual subjects and he did not divert his attention to anything else. The prince's father then asked him to take charge of ruling the world. He tried to convince Priyavrata that this was his duty, as indicated in the revealed scripture. Prince Priyavrata, however, was continuously practicing Bhakti Yoga by constantly remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus engaged all his senses in the service of the Lord. Therefore, although the order of his father could not be rejected, the prince did not welcome it. Thus, he very conscientiously raised the question of whether he might be diverted from spirit's devotional service by accepting the responsibility of ruling over the world. Purport. Srila Narottama Das Thakura has sung Chadiye Vaishnava Seva Nishtara Paye Che Keba. Without serving the lotus feet of a pure Vaishnava or spiritual master, no one has ever attained perfect liberation from material bondage. Prince Priyavrata regularly served the lotus feet of Narada, and thus Prince perfectly understood the transcendental subjects in truth. Sa tattvaha. The word Satattva means that Priyavrata knew all the facts about the spiritual soul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the relationship between the spirit soul and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he also knew all about this material world and the relationship of the spirit soul and the Supreme Lord within this material world. Thus, the prince decided to engage himself only in rendering service to the Lord. When Priyavrata's father, Swayambhuma Vanu, requested him to accept the responsibility of ruling over the world, he did not welcome the suggestion. This is the symptom of a great liberated devotee. Even though engaged in worldly affairs, he did not take pleasure in them, but remained always absorbed in the Lord's service. Let me repeat. This is the symptom of a great liberated devotee. Even though engaged in worldly affairs, he does not take pleasure in them, but remains always absorbed in the Lord's service. While thus serving the Lord, he deals externally with the worldly affairs without being affected. For example, although he has no attraction for his children, he cares for them and educates them to become devotees. Similarly, he speaks to his wife with affectionate words, but he is not attached to her. By rendering devotional service, a devotee acquires all the good qualities of the Supreme Lord. I repeat, by rendering devotional service, a devotee acquires all the good qualities of the Supreme Lord. Lord Krishna had 16,000 wives. All of them were very beautiful, and although he dealt with each of them as a beloved husband, he was not attracted or attached to any of them. In the same way, although a devotee may enter family life and act very affectionately towards wife and children, he is never attached to these activities. This verse states that by serving the lotus feet of the spiritual master, Prince Priyavrata very soon attained the perfectional stage of Krishna consciousness. This is the only way to advance in spiritual life. As stated in the Vedas, Yasya Deve Para Bhaktir Yatha Deve Tatha Gurau Tasyaite Katitaha Hyartaha Prakashante Mahatmanaha. If one has unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord and the spiritual master, the essence of all Vedic knowledge is revealed to him. Svetashvatara Upanishad 623. A devotee always thinks of the Lord continuously while chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. The words of Krishna and Hare immediately remind him of all of the Lord's activities. Since his entire life is engaged in the service of the Lord, a devotee cannot forget the Lord at any time. Just as an ordinary man always engages his mind in material activities, a devotee always engages his mind in spiritual activities. This is called Brahma Satra, or meditating upon the Supreme Lord always. Prince Priyavrata was perfectly initiated into this practice by Sri Narada. Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadramai, Shri Gaurnitai Ki Jai. This is called Brahma Satra, or meditating upon the Supreme Lord always. Prince Priyavrata was perfectly initiated into this practice by Sri Narada. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Yananjana Shalakaya Yakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Shri Vishakan Vitamsya. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha Krupa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Please repeat after me. Sukadeva Goswami continued. My dear king, Prince Priyavrata was a great devotee because he sought the lotus feet of Narada, his spiritual master, and thus achieved highest perfection in transcendental knowledge. With advanced knowledge, he always engaged in discussing spiritual subjects and did not divert his attention to anything else. The prince's father then asked him to take charge of ruling the world. He tried to convince Priyavrata that this was his duty as indicated in the revealed scriptures. Prince Priyavrata, however, was continuously practicing bhakti yoga by constantly remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thus engaging all his senses in the service of the Lord. Therefore, although the order of his father could not be rejected, the prince did not welcome it. Thus, he very conscientiously raised the question of whether he may be diverted from devotional service by accepting responsibility of ruling over the world. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatrupathamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. So here it is said that Prince Priyavrata was a great devotee. Undoubtedly, Prince Priyavrata was an outstanding devotee. He is one of the very inspiring personalities spoken about in the 5th canto, Prince Priyavrata. But the point here is that it says that he was a great devotee because he sought the lotus feet of Narada. Because Prince Priyavrata, you would naturally expect that this line would go like this: Prince Priyavrata was a great devotee because he sought the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. That's not how it's going. It goes like this. It says because he sought the lotus feet of Narada, his spiritual master, and thus achieved the highest perfection in transcendental knowledge. So in other words, because he sought the lotus feet of Narada, through that means he achieved highest perfection of transcendental knowledge. So we learn bhakti from devotees, we learn bhakti from acharyas, from scriptures, from sadhus, from great practitioners of bhakti yoga. Well, we learn bhakti from the scripture as well, but scripture has to be taught properly by someone who has understood the essence and the spirit and the meaning of the scripture. It has to be learned properly. It has to be learned at the lotus feet of an acharya, of a guru. Somehow bhakti is not classified as a science that we learn on our own. It is classified as a science, as a process, as a way of life that is taught, that is learned at the lotus feet of a guru, at an acharya, by an act of surrender, by an act of becoming a servant, disciple, etc. So that's almost like a precondition for somebody who wants to become a serious devotee. In fact, we measure the seriousness of somebody, how serious he is in wanting to become a devotee, by seeing how anxious and how eager he is to surrender to a guru, to an acharya, to the scripture, to like that. If such a surrender is not there, when I say surrender, live according to the principles, guidelines given by your guru, your acharya. So if such a principle of surrender is not there, then you won't get the highest perfection in transcendental loving service, transcendental knowledge. One will not get the highest perfection. One's knowledge will be, I mean, well, you could say he's practicing bhakti, but does he achieve perfection? Does he achieve the highest goal, highest result? The answer is probably more no than yes. Because, see, ultimately, what are we learning? We are learning, initially at least, as long as we are in the Dasya Bhava, initially, we have to learn how to surrender to Krishna, serve him, accept his teachings, say, as it comes in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, or in the Parampara line, and surrender and act according to. In other words, we set aside our own thinking, our own priorities, our own vision. We replace it with Krishna's instructions, etc. But the point is that Krishna does not come directly as the Guru comes. Krishna's representative Guru. So the Guru comes as Krishna's empowered representative. So we first learn the art of surrender, art of devotional service, the etiquette of bhakti, the process of bhakti, etc. by surrendering to Krishna's representative, who is also known as Guru. So it's through the Guru we learn. So here it is said that Narada Muni always tends to give one type of instruction, and the scriptures speak about some other type of instruction sometimes. So here Priyavrata's father is coming and telling Priyavrata, see, Varnashrama Dharma is there, you're king. I am the king, you're my son, so you become the king after me, please take over. Priyavrata was supposed to rule the whole world. But by that time, because he was already surrendered to Narada Muni and he had accepted Narada Muni, the whole dilemma is that Priyavrata is saying, why should I become the king? What do I mean, I stand to lose. I run the risk of losing what I have gained by whatever I have learned from Narada Muni. I run the risk of losing it. So Priyavrata is not very happy with his instruction from his father, and he says that it's a losing bargain for me. I may lose my bhakti. I may lose, because when Narada speaks, he speaks of signs of complete engagement in pure devotional service. When Narada Muni speaks, wherever he interferes, wherever he participates in the spiritual growth and evolution of anybody, Narada speaks that signs, and his mood is that of total surrender, complete engagement, and don't look beyond Krishna and completely be engaged in the service. For that matter, when we were talking about the Prachetas, so Narada instructs them in pretty much the same way, saying, give up, you don't have to be the king, your father can find somebody else. So Priyavrata is asking his father that by accepting to become a king, won't I run the risk of compromising my bhakti, of having to make adjustments in my life, in my bhakti? So, so much so that he's so reluctant to accept the position of a king. So in the Priyavrata episode, as it progresses, we will see that it's not a superficial doubt. Priyavrata says, the goal of life is ultimately to become servant of Krishna and dedicate myself to Krishna. My mind, intelligence, my activities, everything offered in the service of Krishna. So I want to do that. But having to become a king would involve having to deal with people, with issues, with so many other headaches and politics and things like that. And having to become a king would also mean I would have to discriminate friends, enemy, well-wisher, like that. I would have to discriminate. Having to become a king would mean that I have to do things sometimes for political reasons, etc. Some adjustments like that. So Priyavrata is asking, why should I do that? I don't want to do that. Find somebody else for this, or something like that. So Prabhupada says this is the quality of a great devotee. He does not want to be deviated from his spirit of surrender, from his spirit of dedication, etc. See, this is also there in the Varnashrama system. It is not that it is not there. So, but the Varnashrama system says you retire and start behaving like Priyavrata after your, 50 years, 60 years, something. You start behaving like Priyavrata after 50 or 60, retire, go to the forest, and which is technically called Vanaprastha. Like Pandavas retired, so many other kings retired. Dasharatha wanted to retire. Dhritarashtra ultimately, finally, after repeated attempts by all his friends and well-wishers, Dhritarashtra also decided to retire. Not so much because he wanted to retire or that spiritual realization awakened. It's also because he was continuously being humiliated and insulted by Bhima. Whatever be the provocation, he also decided to retire. And Kunti, Gandhari, all of them went with him. And of course, he was constantly being inspired, chastised by Vidura. So Dhritarashtra also retired. So that is technically called the Vanaprastha stage, when you retire. But Priyavrata says, and there is a time when you are a Grihastha, when you have to take responsibility, you've got children, you have to earn for them, you have to provide for them, etc. But Priyavrata says that, no, I'm not interested in going that path. Why not I bypass it and continue as I am, completely dedicated to my Lord Krishna as per the instructions and inspiration from Narada. Priyavrata is thinking like that. The normal Varnashrama standard is, whatever, you're a student, you're this, you're that, and then when you're properly qualified, qualification is also necessary, then you become a Grihastha. And that qualification is, we have to understand that it's one phase in life, Grihastha, Ashrama. But that's not the, what shall I say? Normally, vast majority of people, it is necessary for them to go through the Grihastha Ashrama. Because if they go through the Grihastha Ashrama, at some point of time, they'll be very anxious to enter the Varnashrama system. It's designed like that. Grihastha Ashrama, after some time, it will become so complicated that you will be waiting for the day when you can retire, call it quits and go. Oh, enough, too much. I didn't expect this. I never bargained for this. I never thought this is what will happen when I become a Grihastha. All these thoughts will enter into your mind and you'll wait for the day when you can, properly discharge your duties and then quit and go. But, see, that is just like, see, for example, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, you should thank the devatas, when you take something from them, when you receive something from them. And Krishna actually speaks exactly the opposite in the case of the Govardhan Leela. He will tell Nanda Maharaj and others, what's the need to worship Indra? He's too arrogant and proud. He thinks he's the one who's causing rain. So Krishna actually says, we don't have to worship them. We can show some gratitude and thank them, etc. But you don't have to worship them like how you people are doing. Krishna, so in the scriptures, there are all kinds of instructions. So one has to be careful, which is why one needs a guru. Which is why the first line of the shloka says, he achieved the highest perfectional stage because he had a guru called by the name Narada. Because otherwise, it's possible that we might quote the scriptures and then say, oh, Krishna said you should worship. When you receive something from the devatas, yakya means you should also acknowledge that you received from them, like that. So it's quite possible that you might lose your way. But a guru, an inspired spiritual instructor will realize what is your capacity to take austerity, surrender, renunciation, and then accordingly instruct you. He will realize, he will test you. The guru always tests, like he tested Arjuna, the Pandavas, etc. Dronacharya tested. Guru will test you, Krishna will test you, Maya will test you. We're always under test. And so Guru will test and say, all right, you go through the normal channel, you become a Grihastha, you do this, but don't stay as a Grihastha all your life. Don't stay as a Grihastha. So think about retiring from being an active Grihastha. Think about dedicating your life. So generally, now it's complicated. How does one become Vanaprastha? Where does one go to? Where does one run to? It's not like in the olden days you could go to a forest, retire in Kashi, Varanasi or Dwarka or, Vrindavan, Haridwar. You can't do that so easily. So your guru will tell you how you actually retire from active business engagement and maintaining your family or something, and then focus on Krishna, some devotional service, etc. Because that's actually the main goal of life. See, main goal of life is to become dedicated, is to become completely dedicated, is to stay like that. Is to stay like that, independent of what is your material situation. In other words, your material situation should not hamper or hinder your spiritual commitment to stay completely dedicated to the service of the Lord. Exactly what Priyavrata is practicing. It is said here that all his senses were always engaged in the service of the Lord. All his senses were always engaged. So he's saying, why should this is the highest goal? That's what the scripture says, or at least my guru said. So why should I compromise and come to another platform where I run the risk of losing this? So this is Priyavrata's dilemma. Now, there are several levels of dharma. Like for example, Krishna will see the normal dharma of a wife is to follow the husband, obey the husband, serve the husband, please the husband, whatever. He is the master of the house, etc. But when the wives of the Brahmanas gave prasadam, something to eat to Krishna, Krishna actually appreciates them. It's very good. What you've done is nice. You've earned my special favor by actually going against. They give away all the food items that were made for the yajna, and like in that story of the wives of the Brahmana. And Krishna appreciates that so much. So now by reading that we can't say that all rules are there to, like there's one English saying which says rules are meant to be broken. Rules are there to be broken. No, that's not what we are saying. Constantly there is this whole talk about giving up a lower principle of dharma for a higher principle of dharma. For a higher principle. And the highest principle of dharma is actually bhakti. The highest level of understanding or practice of dharma is bhakti. Unconditional, completely surrendered bhakti. So when the wives of the Brahmanas display that quality, Krishna becomes very pleased. He says, very nice. You have understood dharma properly. By serving me and Balaram and my associates, you have understood that this is the highest thing, rather than engaging in some type of a karma kanda ritual. What is the purpose of karma kanda ritual? That is the typical mentality of a grihastha. Grihastha is saying, how can I improve my position? How can I become richer, better, more famous, this more secure, etc. And for that, what do I have to do? So that's the typical mindset of a grihastha. How to improve my material position. In fact, sometimes when we talk about some brahmacharis in our meetings, etc., when we are having many brahmacharis to deal with, sometimes we look at somebody and say, this person has a grihastha mindset, grihastha mentality. He'll become one very soon, like that. When we see people showing, though he may be a brahmachari at that point of time, but he's thinking in terms of how can I improve my materials in my office, my size of my office, what kind, how many serve, like that. Then we say he's got, for example, it's something very interesting. One time when Lord Chaitanya was there, he had I forget the name of the devotee. Recently we celebrated his appearance or disappearance day. Anyway, I'll tell you the story. The story goes like this. No, three brothers. I'll tell you the story, then you'll remember. Mukunda, I think. So there are three brothers. All of them are devotees of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya one time he was traveling, I think from Puri to Vrindavan on his way. He was traveling and he went to one village and he had a servant. So Lord Chaitanya one time called him. He went to some Brahmana's house and had a nice elaborate meal. Lord Chaitanya satisfied the wish of the Brahmana and had a meal there. He took a meal and after the meal he stretched his hand like this. And that servant of Lord Chaitanya understood that Lord Chaitanya is asking for haritaki. Haritaki is a digestive herb, bark of a tree that we take when after having a meal. Haritaki it's called. So this devotee understands that Lord Chaitanya is asking for haritaki and he runs around the whole village Finally finds haritaki in someone's house, comes and gives it to Lord Chaitanya. He's so happy. Lord Chaitanya is also happy. Lord Chaitanya kind of waits till it comes back. He takes haritaki and over. That day pastime is over. But the crucial thing is the next day. This pastime has to be understood properly. The next day, Lord Chaitanya has a meal. And Lord Chaitanya stretches his hand like this. And the servant with a big smile on his face immediately gives him haritaki. Then Lord Chaitanya asks, where did you get it? How did you get it so quickly? Then he says, no, I collected yesterday. I kept some of it because I thought maybe you'll ask tomorrow. And Lord Chaitanya gives the most unexpected response. He says, this is the mood and mentality of a grihastha. You better stay here, get married to somebody here and stay in this village. I mean, it has to be understood in a proper context. But then, of course, that devotee was a glorious devotee. He took that command of Lord Chaitanya as a blessing. He didn't complain or, of course, see, anybody who's deprived of the association of Lord Chaitanya will feel bad. They'll say, I could have gone on and on and on and on and on with Lord Chaitanya's association. Now I'm deprived of that. But whatever Lord Chaitanya wants, I don't have I will have to do it. That is more pleasing to Lord Chaitanya than going behind him. So he accepts that command and he settles down in that village, and in due course of time he gets married. Exactly what Lord Chaitanya kind of predicted or wanted it to happen. Said, stay here, get married, marry somebody. And then Lord Chaitanya tells him that take care of there was some temple, Gopinath temple there. And the story goes that, the interesting thing is this. Of course, the story goes on. It's a very fascinating story. But the point is this. This is, Lord Chaitanya, quote unquote, calls this the grihastha mentality. Saving things for future, having things for future, keeping things for future, preparing whatever. I mean, like I said, it has to be understood in proper context, because when the Guru comes, we cannot say. You see, Guru is to be honored in a particular way. Guru, the Vaishnavas, whoever comes, we have to prepare ourselves. We have to prepare. And that mood is different. It cannot be misunderstood. We can't take this example and place it there and say, haritaki, so, I'm not supposed to keep anything. And no. Guru is treated as good as Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is just humorously illustrating the mindset of a grihastha, typical mindset of a grihastha. Some people have that. We cannot, probably vast majority of the people have that mentality. By itself, it's not wrong. You understand what I'm saying? By itself, the mentality to keep something, save something, is not wrong. But the point is, when we start keeping something, saving something, hoarding something for our sake, for our own sake, our family's sake, to increase my wealth or power or position or facilities or something, that's probably not correct. But to save something for Krishna's sake, for devotees' sake, to be engaged in future for the devotees' sake, that is not wrong. That is not wrong. The mentality of wanting to save something for our own sake, for our own pleasure, for our own, as a means of safety, security, my future planning, my retirement planning, etc. That is a grihastha mentality. Again, by itself, it may not be entirely wrong. It may not be wrong, because in Kali Yuga, we have to be very careful and cautious that we don't become a burden on somebody. I mean, see, all these teachings we have to apply through the instructions of a guru, balance it to the instructions of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. So, Lord Chaitanya, see, it's pretty interesting. Lord Chaitanya orders him to stay back. But to continue that story, the story goes like this. He has a wife and he has a kid. He's subsequent and he's serving the deity. I think the deity is called Gopinath or Gopinath. The deity is called Gopinath. And in due course of time, there are one or two versions of this story. I am telling you the version that I have read. Two versions are there, which I have read in detail. So, in the version that I have read, it says that in due course of time, his wife dies. He's struggling to take care of the deity. He takes care of the deity, and his son also dies. Both of them are dead. But he gets older and older and older, but he's taking care of the deity. Lord Chaitanya's command, Lord Chaitanya told him, Lord Chaitanya's instructions, he's not deviating. He says, as long as I am, I will take care of the deity. He's very, very painstakingly. And at one point of time, he becomes so old that he's not able to take care of the deity properly. Because he's also lamenting about the loss of his son. His son was helping him in taking care of the deity. He was lamenting. He was saying, my son is gone. What is the point in living? Whatever, he was lamenting that my son is gone. How can I take care of the deity? I thought after me, he'll take care of the deity. Now I'm stuck. I don't have my son. I have to take care of the deity. And he was confused and lamenting. At the same time, reflecting on Lord Chaitanya's instruction that you should take care of the deity. So it said that when he was lying down in the bed, one day he didn't get up and didn't take care of the deity. He was lying down, deeply meditating, saying, what kind of a situation I am in? I don't have anybody who's helped me. My son is gone. My wife is gone. They were all helping me. And how can I take care of? So then it appears, Krishna appears, the deity will appear. The deity will appear in his dream, or, appear to him and tell him, you have lost one son, and because you lost one son, you are neglecting the other son. This person gets a little confused. He says, what's this one son I lost? Yeah, correct. What's this other son? Then it will strike him that Krishna, the deity form, is saying, you lost one son, but I am the other son. Why are you neglecting me? I am your other son. I am your other son. Why are you neglecting me? Suddenly it will strike him that, my God, oh my deity, oh my Lord, that you're not my Lord, you're now telling me that I'm yours, you're my son. See, this is the point, this is the point where we should not miss out, that anybody who shows sincerity, dedication, sacrifice, consistency, Krishna will reciprocate. Krishna will show love for them. Krishna will show reciprocation. Krishna will show affection. Krishna will show care, concern, yoga kshemam, vahamyaham. Krishna will show all of that. All of that. Then this devotee will challenge the deity and say, you're saying you're my son. One of the things I'm worried about is if I die, who will do my antim sanskar? Or who will do pindadan for me? My son is gone. You have deprived me of my son. And the Lord will say, I'm your other son. It becomes my duty to do. I will do it. I will do it. And he becomes so overwhelmed by ecstasy, this devotee. He becomes completely overwhelmed. He says, we always read the Lord reciprocates, the Lord cares, the Lord, etc. But here is an instance where the Lord actually does. And so that deity is called, I don't remember the name of the place where this deity is. Anybody remembers? Somewhere near Mayapur itself. It's near Navadvip Junction railway station. Prabhupada explains how to get there also. So, it is said that one day in a year, on the day of the tithi of this devotee, the deity comes out wearing a simple white cloth, like a son who has to do the pindadan. He wears a simple white cloth, the son has to wear. He can't go with pant shirt. And so wear a simple white cloth, the dhoti, and he's carried, and the Lord does antim sanskar for him. Oh, sorry, not antim sanskar, pindadan. Pindadan, year on year, every day he goes to the samadhi and does pindadan. So the point is, Priyavrata is somewhere there at that level of dedication. He's saying, why should I become the king? Somebody else can become. Krishna can arrange that. I'm sure the Lord has a plan B. If I don't become, it's not the end of the story. The Lord knows how to manage. It's his whatever. So why I should take this risky proposition that if I become a grahastha, and I run the risk of diluting my spiritual commitment and practices. Why should I do that? So he is making an inquiry. One side he knows it's not easy or not good to disobey his father. The other side he has his own personal anxiety because he has learned from Narada. Please understand this. He's got the mercy from Narada. So he says, why should I do it? The Prachetas went away. They went away. They discarded whatever. At some point of time in their life, they discarded they renounced everything and went away. And they became full-time devotees in somewhere, wherever, some ashram, some forest, wherever. So Priyavrata is asking, why can't I continue to say like this? You find somebody else to be the king. But this is very confusing for the devatas. Very confusing. They say, because the devatas are all on a mood where they practice bhakti along with material responsibilities and experience a little bit of material opulence, power, authority, opulence, worship, awe, reverence, everything they experience. But they're also devotees. They're also devotees. So Brahma will come and say, no, and they also follow one level of, you could say they're also followers of Vedic scripture, which is the Varnashrama, the traditional, whatever, for the masses, for the general people, the Varnashrama, you become a Krsna, then run this, then at some point of time you retire and go. But you follow this, that's their mood. You follow this path. For them it's complicated, it's very difficult for them to accept that one can become renounced without entering Krsna ashram. It is okay to become renounced. It is okay to dedicate. It is okay not to enter Krsna ashram. It is okay to give up material, risky, the material life which is filled with risk. It's okay to give up. They can't, generally speaking, the devatas are not quite really in that mood. Their mood is do your duty, also do bhakti. But devotees are completely in a different mood. You could say that is an example of dasya bhava. Serve Krishna. They're serving Krishna. Dasya bhava. In awe, reverence, deference, and obedience. We are also serving Krishna. And we have reason to believe that Krishna is pleased with our service also. Because when we pray, Krishna appears and he solves our problems. There's Ravanasura, there's Narasimha, there is Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha. We get into all kinds of messy situations. The Lord comes and rescues us. And we chant the Purusha Sukta prayers where we glorify the position of the Lord. We appreciate Him, we glorify Him. We announce our position as servants and completely dependent on the shelter, on the mercy, on the compassion of the Lord. Like that. That's their mood. That's quite really the Devata's mood. But there are other moods also. The other mood is when you graduate beyond the Dasya Rasa, you get into what is known as Sakya Rasa. Even in Sakya Rasa, there are two principal, shall we say, segments. One is the Dwarka Bhava, Sandarbha, and there is the Vrindavan. In the Dwarka Bhav mood, when someone becomes a friend, the examples given are that of Arjuna, Bhima, Yudhishthira, of devotees in that mood. And then Sudama Vipra, like that. They are friends of Krishna. But they are very conscious of Krishna's position as the Supreme Lord. And they also have friendship, but they are very conscious. They never forget that Krishna is the Lord. Krishna is the Supreme Lord. So we could say their Sakya Bhava is mixed with some kind of awe and reverence and recognition and acceptance of the position of Krishna as God, Supreme Lord. In Vrindavan, it's very different. It's quite different. Sudama, Subala, there are many others who are friends of Krishna, for whom the understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Lord is not very prominent. For them, Krishna is just the friend. He's Sakya. He's just a friend. So, this friendship business, the business of becoming a dear, intimate friend. Of course, even among friendship, there are four categories. One who is elder to Krishna, one who is younger to Krishna, one who is the same age as Krishna, and one who is intimately connected with Krishna. There are four subdivisions in the Vrindavan Sakya Rasa. So, there is this Sakya Rasa where they just want to be friends of Krishna and intimately connected with Krishna. But the problem with following, when you get into the Dasya Bhava, you don't get so much of an intimate connection with Krishna because you're always scared. Like for example, look at Arjuna's mood. The Acharyas say, as soon as Arjuna saw the Virat Rupa, He became very apologetic. He apologized to the Lord saying, I did so many mistakes. I took you as my friend. I called you by your name, Krishna, Madhusudana, Madhava, Gopinatha, this and that. I addressed you. We slept on the same bed. We ate together. I put my hands around your shoulder. I don't think I should have done that when he sees Virat Rupa of the Lord. So his friendship gets covered up in one sense of when he becomes very conscious of the Virat Rupa and the supremacy of the Supreme Lord. He becomes very conscious. But in Vrindavan, they will see Krishna doing all of it or sometimes more of it, killing this demon, that demon, this demon. But somehow, because of Yogamaya and Krishna's mercy, or because they're blessed to be like that, this mood of awe, reverence, and supremacy of the Lord gets into the background. Doesn't become a prominent factor in their relationship. So, in Priyavrata's mind, he's thinking Varnashrama Dharma, following the orders, becoming like the queen, like the wives of the Brahmanas. They said, what is all this karma kanda thing? This Krishna has come asking, our business is to serve and make him happy. And forget about all this. So Priyavrata is pretty much in that kind of a mood. He's saying, forget about all this. This is not my business. It's Krishna's world. Let him take care. Let him find somebody else. Let you all of you sit together, find somebody else. Please leave me alone. I want to continue being a devotee just as much as how I am doing now. Please don't disturb me. That's Priyavrata's mood. So it's like when Krishna even displays sometimes it displays his mystical potency, but they understand it very differently in Vrindavan. Very, very differently in Vrindavan. When Krishna lifts the Govardhan, all the gopis and the gopas think, this must be so heavy. I guess we should all help. So they keep sticks, and then they say little bit of the load of Govardhan should be balanced, not only on Krishna's hand, like that. And sometimes they engage in conversation. Narada Muni, Nanda Maharaj will say, Garga Muni said this about Krishna. He's born in every yuga. He has different names in different yuga, like that. So, but after the end of the conversation, their love for Krishna overwhelms everything else. Overwhelms everything else. And Krishna likes that. Krishna likes everybody. Krishna likes his servants in the Dasya Bhava. Because that is maybe for many of them, that is their constitutional bhava. Serving Krishna as a servant, as a Dasya. But Krishna has we'll put it like this. Krishna has more intimate dealings with those who are above Dasya Bhava. You can't have intimate dealings with those who are in the Dasya Bhava. Above Dasya Bhava, Sakya, Vatsalya. Sakya is one level. Vatsalya is a much higher level of intimate dealings. So Krishna has intimate dealings with his friends, which he does not have with his servants. He doesn't have intimate dealings with the devatas. It's very formal. They come, they worship, they take their boon or whatever, and then they go away. Very formal. Krishna is okay with that. But Lord Chaitanya came and changed the whole thing in a very fundamental way. Lord Chaitanya's philosophy is all about rasa. Rasa means a feeling for Krishna, a mellow for Krishna, an attraction for Krishna, a feeling which is very much more intimate than that of a dasya. So you could say that maybe, Priyavrata was somewhere along, definitely not confined to the dasya bhava mood. He had some intense attraction for Krishna. Because he had attraction for Krishna, he found any material duty as being irrelevant. Actually, he looked at any material duty as being a burden. This is a burden. This is a risk. Why should I become the king? Why should I take that risk? What's the guarantee that I won't slip? What's the guarantee that I won't have to compromise? So he looks at material responsibility as a burden, as an unwanted burden, because he has faith in Krishna, saying Krishna can find some other solution. My father, my grandfather, Brahma, let them sit together, have a meeting, whatever. Let them find some other solution. Let them find someone else. Why me? Why me? So, Rupa Goswami is a Rasa Acharya. He says that
Mahaprabhu's instructions to Rupa Goswami to expand the understanding of rasa. Rasa means what you feel when you worship, when you're with Krishna, when you're intimately connected with Krishna. What kind of feeling awakens in you? That's called the rasa, the mellow of relationship with you. So the Bhagavatam shows all kinds of examples. Bhagavatam shows some people who have traditionally followed whatever the path of Krsna, this one, that one, Vanaprastha, and so on. Some people want to bypass the whole thing and become a sannyasi or stay as a completely dedicated servant. And Lord Chaitanya recommended that path quite a bit. That, like I said, even if you accumulate, even if you have power, even if you're doing it in order to serve Krishna, then it's probably okay. If you are doing accumulation of wealth, or you have power, you have authority of this, you have whatever it is, you're doing it as an act, as a means of serving Krishna more, then it's probably okay. But otherwise, for yourself, then it's a grasta mentality. What Lord Chaitanya hinted at, it's kind of a grasta mentality. So, well, we can't pretend also. It's dangerous to pretend that I'm already on that level. That's why we need a guru. The guru will tell us, guru will instruct us, guru will tell us what's the right level of surrender for us to practice. Like Narada told Priyavrata. Ultimately, of course, it will come later on. Priyavrata will extract a blessing from Brahma. Extract a blessing from Brahma. Brahma will tell Priyavrata, go ahead, be the king. But I assure you, I bless you that being a king will in no way reduce your bhakti to Krishna, your intimate connection with Krishna. In no way reduce or disturb. It's only after that Priyavrata relents and accepts to be the king. Accepts to be the king. Because he gets this assurance from Brahma that it won't affect his bhakti. So, it is not necessary that we follow the traditional path. And I have to get married, I have to get a job, I have to do this, I have to do that. And then if and when I have free time, spare time, I'll do some bhakti. Or nor is it essential or mandatory that we follow the path of the devatas. They are nice devotees. We should never ever question their commitment or seriousness or faith or sincerity of bhakti in Krishna. We can't question that. But maybe by Krishna's arrangement, they are like that or whatever. They are happy. They want to experience some of this authority, power, and like that. Because sometimes they get carried away by that. Like Indra got carried away. Like Brahma got carried away. Like sometimes Shiva also gets bewildered when they have power. But a pure devotee thinks that because there is a risk that we might get carried away, a pure devotee sometimes will say, I don't want that. I'm better off serving like a simple, humble servant. I'm better off serving my guru as a completely insignificant, small servant. I don't want to risk anything. I don't want to risk becoming a devata, becoming big, becoming this, becoming that. I don't want to risk. But of course, sometimes the guru will call and tell you, no, I want you to do this, then you do. Then it is different. It's a little different that you're following your guru's order. But see, there's a difference. Following guru's order is sometimes much more superior than following your father's order. If the father is ordering like a grasta, then obviously the motivations is very different. But when guru is ordering, keeping in mind your eternal spiritual welfare. Eternal spiritual welfare, like Narada orders. But when father does, it's little mixed. Like Vaivaswata Manu was trying to persuade Priyavrata Maharaj, Baba, you become a king. If you don't become a king, I can't retire. And it's time for me to retire. That is also bhakti, that is also dedication, that is also sincerity. Vaivaswata Manu is showing dedication, wants to renounce, all that is there. But it's a slow track. It's a very slow track. And that's a track which is filled with risk of accidents. Priyavrata says, I've already achieved a level and I don't want to come down. I'm already, situated. I don't believe that I have to take this role of becoming a king to take care of the kingdom. I'm sure among you can work out something else. Just why don't you leave me alone? like that. So that is a slow process. Everybody need not follow that. Need not. Prabhupada, Prabhupada institution of Iskcon was built to see how many of the people want to follow that and how many of them want to bypass. How many people want to bypass that traditional conservative approach to becoming this, then Krsna, then take a job, then do this, then do that, then do that. And when you're pretty old or almost very old or that, then okay, then you start thinking about renouncing. That is one way. I mean, that is also a way of devotion. We cannot deny that. But then Mahaprabhu's mood is very different. Mahaprabhu's mood is devotion with intensity. Great intensity. Great what level of dedication. Mahaprabhu's mood is a mood of bhakti, ananya bhakti. That means not mixed with any other threads of responsibilities. That famous verse, Anyabilashita Sunyam, Jnana Karmadi Anavritam, Anyabilashita. Anything else, everything else other than bhakti, other than serving Krishna is zero. Shunyam. Everything else. This is Mahaprabhu's faithful devotee, Rupa Goswami's recommendation. He says that is Uttama Bhakti, that is the highest form of bhakti. Devotees, people need courage, people need confidence, people need faith to be able to come to that level. Courage also. And you will succeed. Devotees can succeed of practicing at that level. Anyabilashita Shunyam. The other way, like I said, go to the traditional rigmarole of. But you see, just as Priyavrata said that he took shelter of Narada Muni and then achieved highest perfection, we also need to take shelter of a personality who is practicing Anyabilashita Shunyam. We have to take shelter of a parampara where this principle is taught. A parampara where this principle is highlighted, broadcasted, taught and recommended openly and fearlessly. You serve Krishna, that's enough. What's the need to do anything else? Anyabilashita Shunyam. Yeah, I may take a profession to maintain my family, but then please understand that I'm maintaining family because I want to make all of them devotees. And then my idea is that somehow or other I dovetail every act of mine in the service of Guru and Krishna. Every act of mine, dovetail, positively dovetail. See, this is possible only when one develops a mood of intensity in bhakti. You have intensity, a driving force that will bring purity, that will bring renunciation, that will bring strength, that will bring faith, everything. When you have intensity or greed, intensity, tivra bhakti. That tivra bhakti will never come until we serve another devotee who has that. Will never ever come until you serve another devotee who's blessed with that intensity. Tivra. Otherwise it's like bhakti for the masses type. Many people are doing bhakti, but at their own level of convenience. Whatever is convenient for me, whatever is possible for me, whatever is, I'm okay, I'll do that and that much only. And sometimes they get confused. They say, why are you doing so much? Actually, you should do all this when you're 60 plus or whatever. They get confused, they get bewildered. Why? What's the need to do? But Mahaprabhu's followers, Rupa Goswami's followers are different. Are very, very different. They will read the Bhagavatam and only examples like Priyavrata, examples of those who have completely dedicated stay in their heart. The others may pick up some of the portion of the Bhagavad Gita or the Bhagavatam where the devotee, where the demigods become their role models. I want to become a big businessman so I can serve Krishna. It's all right. I mean, we can say nothing wrong, but there's a better way. There's a more intense way. And we have to understand that Krishna opens up more fully, intimately to those who are dedicated. Opens up more intimately to those who are his friends. Not so much to those who are in the Dasya Bhava. The intimacy of relationship with Krishna is more as one progresses spiritually until one enters, like I said, a mood of intense dedication. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Thank you very much. Any questions? Comments? Oh, look at this.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
No, no. Yes, Prabhu.
The fundamental dharma of a Kshatriya is to protect his kingdom and administer the kingdom. And if every Kshatriya like Priyavrata thinks that I am dedicated, so I'll not take care of my kingdom, so what will happen?
Yeah, good question. Kshatriya's responsibility is to protect the kingdom and punish the miscreants and punish the mischievous and so on. But you see, a devotee Kshatriya, his primary duty is to see that there is no impediment or hindrance in the practice of pure devotional service among the people of his kingdom. Not just protection so that they progress materially, they become richer, not just that. What's the use of that? A devotee Kshatriya will say, are you all able to practice bhakti without any disturbance? Are all the brahmanas and the teachers and the acharyas and the gurus respected? Are they being given sufficient respect, importance, and are their teachings heard and practiced? A real Kshatriya is not just about increasing material living standards, what we say living standards, creating more wealth, creating more jobs, and that is there. But we have to understand that a real Kshatriya, for him, it's more important to see that they are all, his praja is connected to the thread of pure devotional service to Krishna. To Krishna, pure devotional service. When Parikshit Maharaj used to go around his kingdom, he would ask, are you all following? Is there any disturbance in your bhakti? Are all the elderly people being, the brahmanas, the gurus, the acharyas are being, he would inspect to see, is there katha going on in every town? Wherever he goes, he would hear. In every village that he goes, he would hear people talking about Krishna, about the Pandavas, about his grandfather, Yudhishthira, etc. And that would please him immensely. He is a real Kshatriya. Not just about living standards. Not just create better housing, better transport, better this or that. No. That should be accompanied by better direction of life, goal of life. That is very important. So, a Daivi Varnashrama Kshatriya has a different goal. Daivi Varnashrama Kshatriya is saying, is the Lord being worshipped? Are the Brahmanas happy? Is there sufficient charity being given to them? Are there yagyas, homas, pujas happening regularly, properly? When any two kings meet, while even in the Dwapara Yuga, in Mahabharata, when you read, among the first inquiries they make is, are the elderly happy? Are the devotees happy? Are the yagya, puja, homas going on peacefully in your kingdom? They knew that the purpose of human life is to connect with Krishna through the process of intense, pure devotional service, pure bhakti. That is the real duty of a Brahmana, of a Kshatriya, of a father, of a teacher, of a guru. Yes, and then please also understand, Kshatriyas act under the guidance and direction of the acharyas. They can't act independently. And, when you read Lord Rama's kingdom, etc., everything was nice because they were all very intensely attached to Lord Rama. So, anything done for material improvement of material standards by itself is not very, what is the right word? It's not a big thing. In fact, it is said that we should be careful that in our pursuit to achieve higher standards of living, we should not forget pure bhakti. Okay, good question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji, for the lecture.
Pardon me?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for the lecture, Prabhuji. So, in the lecture, you stated one point that like Lord Indra and Lord Brahma got bewildered, Lord Shiva also got bewildered at one point. So, we know that he is the greatest devotee among Vaishnavas. So, can a pure devotee be bewildered? I did not understand that point where you mentioned.
Yeah, see, Shiva's bewilderment, we should hear from Shiva himself. Lord Shiva says that you could bewilder me effortlessly, Krishna, my Lord. Effortlessly, you could bewilder me. This actually goes to show how great and how inconceivably powerful you are. Do you understand what I'm saying? Actually, Lord Shiva accepts that he got bewildered as an acknowledgement of Krishna's absolute majesty and power, and that his mystical power have no limit. In order to illustrate that Lord's inconceivably infinite ability to bewilder somebody, even Lord Shiva agrees to become a part of that Leela where he gets bewildered by Mohini. It's not meant to show Lord Shiva in a lower position. It's actually meant to show how Krishna is invincible. The absolute command and control that he has over anything in this world. So Lord Shiva agrees to become an example to show Krishna can bewilder anybody at any time effortlessly if he wishes to. So actually you could say that Lord Shiva cooperates with Lord Krishna to show that as an example. Just as much as Bhishma, he was also Mahajana, he was a great devotee. But Bhishma fights with Krishna, Arjuna, so ferociously that he obliges Krishna to break his promise of saying that, I won't lift a weapon. So Bhishma fights, he works with Krishna in one sense to show that Krishna will break his own promise to protect his devotee. Break his promise to protect his devotee. So Bhishma cooperates to make that Leela manifest. Same way Lord Shiva cooperates with Krishna to manifest that Leela. And the purpose of that Leela is to show the greatness and humility of Lord Shiva. He says, I neither feel ashamed nor dejected or anything. It just shows how inconceivably powerful you are, my Lord, and how you are one without a second. I mean, he's up above and nobody there in second position. It's not that Brahma and Shiva, three of them will raise their names together, Brahma, Shiva, Maheshwara, etc. Brahma, Shiva and Vishnu. It's not that we don't want people to think that because three of our names are chanted together, three of us are in some way equal. We are not. You're up there, we are way below. And you can do. You're Swarat. You can do anything. So the purpose of that Leela is a little different. Okay, good question. Anybody else? Yeah.
So Prabhuji, as you said now, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, as you discussed now, here Shiva will play his role and Mahavishnu will play his role and Brahma will play his role. So here three are equal and three are assigned to play their roles and individually whatever the works assigned to them to rule the world or rule the Bhuloka or whatever. So here according to the Puranas or old stories, here the Brahma or Shiva will chant the Mahavishnu name. At the same time, the Mahavishnu will chant the Mahashiva name. Is it true or is there anything else, Prabhuji?
I didn't get what you're asking. Are you saying Mahashiva is superior to Vishnu?
Mahashiva chanting Mahavishnu's name.
Name?
Yeah. Chanting, like Arjapa.
Correct.
And Mahavishnu chanting Shiva name.
Yeah,
Is it?
see, Lord Vishnu or Krishna may be chanting
whoever,
somebody's name.
Yeah, both are the same. Yes.
No. Both are not the same.
Okay.
See, there are times when Krishna is chanting the names of some of his devotees. It is said that when he was sleeping in the palaces of the queens of the Dwaraka, he would chant the names of the gopis. So Krishna's chanting of the name of his devotees is to show how much affection he has, how much love he has for them, how grateful he is to them, how grateful, how what shall I say? How much affection he has for them. He chants the names of the gopis. But when Lord Shiva is chanting, so same way he may chant the name of Lord Shiva, admiring the qualities of Lord Shiva, purity of Shiva, renunciation of Lord Shiva, surrender of Lord Shiva, dependability of Lord Shiva, trustworthiness. He can trust Shiva with anything. So he's chanting the names of Lord Shiva in a mood of gratitude for him, saying, such a nice servant I have, Shiva. So his mood of chanting is very different from Shiva's mood of chanting. Shiva is chanting Vishnu's name, saying, my Lord, I am your servant. The mood is different. But then Krishna also shows how much what exalted position he gives to his pure devotees by chanting their name helplessly, affectionately, lovingly, like he chants the names of the gopis. Affectionately, very, very intensely, what shall I say, feeling separation from his devotees. Feeling intense separation from his love, from his most loving, intimate devotees, he chants their name. So the queens of gopis, the queens of Dwarka say, Krishna is living here physically. That's all we can say. But actually he is living in Vrindavan. He has never left Vrindavan. He is always reminiscing his time in Vrindavan, his association with the devotees in Vrindavan, especially the gopis. He is always reminiscing. He is always in the past. He is always living there. He may be physically present with us. So that is Krishna's way of showing gratitude. Krishna's way of showing how his heart has been won over by these devotion. So Krishna may chant the names of Shiva like that, different devotees like that.
So like a devotee.
Out of recognition. Like Krishna glorifies Bhishma. Just as much as the devotees want to glorify Krishna, Krishna also wants to glorify devotees. He glorifies Bhishma. He takes Yudhishthira and says, come. There's someone who knows things about how to run this world better than me. Come, I'll take you there. Now you listen. Krishna is present when Bhishma is instructing Yudhishthira. What does that mean? Krishna is very sensitive, very reciprocative, very appreciative, very, very intensely appreciative of the quality of devotion that devotees show. The quality, intensity, sincerity that devotees show. Krishna recognizes. Krishna recognizes. And Krishna is grateful. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Radha Madan Mohan Jagannath Baladev Subhadramai Shri Gaur Nitai ki.